Hello everybody, my name is Star Wars Boy, how are you? And welcome back to the channel for a brand new Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. In this video, we are doing our hero guide on Lando Calrisian. Without further ado, let's get started. Before I start the video, I actually looked at my YouTube statistics and only an extremely small percentage of my viewers are subscribed to the channel, and that's a big problem. So if you are watching this video and are not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. It's completely free and it helps out the channel. Now, let's get started. Now moving on to some of Lando's base stats, he has a base health of 650, which is on par with most blaster characters in the game. He also has a health regain of 200, which is again on par with most other blaster characters in the game. His weapon is of course his iconic X8 Night Sniper, which does have thermal vision if you do use the ADS for it. The damage per hit is decent, dealing 40 damage to the body and 76 damage to the head. The DPS is 266 to 166. The rate of fire is 400 rounds per minute, and the drop of damage is 20 to 50 meters. Another thing I should mention about Lando's blaster, it is one of the only tap fire weapons in Battlefront 2, meaning you can't just spray and hold down the trigger, rather you have to keep on tapping the trigger or left clicking your mouse. His first L1 ability is called Smoke Grenade, and this is a pretty simple ability with a 14-second cooldown. There's not much to say about this one. Lando deploys some smoke in front of his feet. He can sort of aim it, but not really, and it doesn't do that much. The duration is 10 seconds. As for the pros, it does have shorter lunges for saber heroes. I conducted a few tests and I do think that this was in my 50 tips and tricks video. However, if you have any saber hero, they can lunge less and it decreases their lunge distance if you throw the smoke at you, meaning you can hide behind it and they won't instantly lock on. Another thing is the smoke is kind of thick, so it's hard to see through it. But as for the cons, again, it's not that effective and will display your location. What I mean by this is if you're playing as a saber hero and you see smoke, you know that there's a Lando somewhere nearby, as he can't throw the smoke from across the map. His right ability is called Disabler and has a 19-second cooldown. Lando throws down a sticky shock device and can instantly or wait a little bit until activating it. He also sees whoever is on this radar, meaning that he can see how many people he's about to shock. The duration is 1.1 seconds, making this shock a pretty good one. As for the pros, it allows for some quick damage, has a great area effect, and lasts long if not used. You can leave this thing on the ground for like 20 seconds, and I believe it will not deactivate for a while. As for the cons, this does take arm to activate. It does have a quick arming time, but I mean, it still has to arm itself. You can't just instantly shock people. Honestly though, I think Lando's shock is one of the better ones in the game. Moving on to his middle ability, which is honestly one of the best abilities in the game. Now, despite what the card says, this ability is called Sharp Shot and has a 12-second cooldown. The damage dealt is 200, meaning it can one-hit every class in the game, including the heavy. As for the pros, it locks onto target, it has a great multi-kills, and has a quick activation time. I believe that this ability can lock onto 5 or 6 enemies, meaning that with the click of one button, you can get some great multi-kills. As for cons, I'd honestly have to say none. This ability is really good, and again, it's by far one of the best abilities in the game. Moving on to some of his start cards, these are 3 start cards that I personally use all the time when running Lando, and I think that they will help your gameplay by using them. The first one is called Hot and Cold. Lando Calrisian has more base maximum health. This simply increases his health from 50 to 150 additional HP. This one is a no-brainer. Using simple math, he will go from 650 health to 800 health, which is honestly really good, so this card is worth using. The next card I'd recommend is called Maximum Efficiency. If Sharp Shot hits 3 or more targets, the recharge time to the next one is reduced from 25% to 40% with a maxed out star card. This card is pretty good, as most of the time when I use Sharp Shot, I end up getting 3, 4, or even 5 people within that one Sharp Shot usage. So if it means that the recharge time can be reduced the next time I use it, then I'll be sure to use this card. Again, this is one of his best abilities, and I am sure that everyone uses this every chance they have to get a sweet multi-kill. The final card I recommend using is called Wide-Eyed. Sharp Shot can target enemies at a longer distance. The distance increase goes from 25% all the way to 40% with a maxed out star card. Again, if you really like using the Sharp Shot, then you have to maximize its ability to kill. And so increasing the distance that it can target enemies will help you a lot in Galactic Assault and Supremacy. Now moving on to some of his best maps, these are 3 maps that I personally feel like Lando does really well on. The first one is Geonosis. Geonosis is a pretty hard map to get kill streaks on, however I feel like with Lando it's one of the easier ones to play. Lando has really good range on this map, and he can actually see his health bar while ADSing, so that's a first. His Sharp Shot is great on this map, and the smoke honestly kind of does help, considering that there already is a lot of smoke on the map and it just makes it even thicker. However, it's not that useful. His Disabler is really good on this map, so if you want to choose a character on Geonosis, Lando's probably your guy. The next map is Starkiller Base. For some strange reason, whenever I play Starkiller Base, I always run into a Lando, and I realized how really good he is on this map. He's really dominant at the second phase, as he can use one Sharp Shot ability and kill around 5 or 4 people, depending on how many people are there when he aims at them. The final map is Endor. Lando is really good in the second phase and the third phase. He's also pretty good in the first phase when you have to hijack the ATST. Again, Lando is really good on these 3 maps. If you don't like using him on these 3 maps, that's fine. However, these are the 3 maps that I personally do best on him with. Now, moving on to some general tips for Lando, the first one being to get used to hitting headshots with his weapon. Lando's weapon is really different compared to others, mainly because it is a tap fire weapon, while than a right trigger hold weapon. If you don't want to know what I mean, next time you pick any weapon in Battlefront 2, simply hold down the trigger. If it continues to fire after holding down the trigger, then that is a spray weapon. However, Lando's is different. You actually have to continuously press the trigger to fire, and which is why lots of people are not using him. It's because they don't know how to shoot like that. One thing you really want to know when playing as Lando is how to get used to tap fire weapons, and if you can do that and if you have a good trigger finger, then you can dominate with Lando. The second tip is to use his shock and headshot combo. Again, this goes for anyone with a stun and a high dealing damage weapon, but if you stun someone, always go for the head, as the second they're gonna get out of that stun, they're gonna be really low and trying to kill you, so you can take advantage of that and deal a ton of damage. The third and final one is honestly just to use his smoke more often. Now, it does seem like a pretty useless ability. However, like I'll show right now, the tests actually do show that Lando's smoke decreases lunge distance for Saber heroes. So it does have some of its uses. Although it may seem like a total waste of an ability, this is pretty good. So that's going to be it for this hero guide, guys. I'm really surprised of how much I like Lando's hero in this game. When this game first came out in November of 2017, I made jokes with my friends about people who chose Lando. But 2 and almost 3 years later, that joke is really not well aged, as Lando has become a menace. I've seen Lando players take on Darth Vader's and General Grievous's fine on their own, so he definitely is a great hero. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, YouTube's telling me that a very small percentage of viewers are subscribed, so hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time. Bye, and may the Force be with you always.